Hey, what up? What up, Amir?
What's going on, T? It's Motivational Monday, baby. Yes,
Hey,
start that
I feel
weekend
good. How
right.
you feel?
I feel great, man. You know what? The weekend was really quiet. I just took some time to kind of get my own space in my own head, and then the weather is finally making that crossover. And for me, music and the weather being right are two of the most motivating things in the world to me. Because even if you don't want to do stuff, meaning like go all over the world, to be able to sit outside sometimes and just take in the sun and bask in that is an amazing feeling. So I'm happy that we finally getting the weather's finally making that transition. And that's all I could ask for, baby. Today was another beautiful day. Tomorrow's gonna be beautiful. So those days are starting to accumulate. And that's when you get motivated. You know what I mean?
I can't wait because I'm finally back on this side of the earth. You know what I mean? And get to get them dogs out and let them dogs run and do what they do and just in a natural habitat. And, you know what I mean? Like catch up. This is a catch up week for me, home wise. You know what I mean? As a homebody, so I'm gonna get all that done. So welcome everybody joining and tuning in with Amir Sealy and Talent on Motivation Monday. Now this Monday is going to turn into a community motivation drive type thing. For anybody that's just catching up to what has transpired and started in the last, I guess, 72 hours. Um, we're coming together as a community to say no more,
Yeah.
right? We're motivated to say no more. If you're with us, you're with us. If you're with us, you respect us, you understand us, you get us, and more importantly, you definitely respect us. And we mean that from my skin tone to what my art or craft is to the dollar I spend. So today's conversation is going to fit under that umbrella because we have recently been, I want to say, forced to cancel one of our comedy comrades. Uh, this is an older Caucasian comedian by the name of Barry Ribs, RIBS. You can look him up on Facebook and everything. And somebody just sent me a Facebook, Amir, like an hour ago, where he's posting the thing. He's seeing the movement and he's posting a rebuttal. Oh, I'm innocent. I'm not, anybody who know me, I'm not racist. Okay, whatever. We'll talk about that and people will form their own opinions. But what we're not going to do, and we'll catch people up as we go, because my first guest is Stephanie McCrae, comedian extraordinaire. And she actually, I look at her as the springboard of what could have went swept under the rug one more time. When I say one more time, Amir, I mean like this. I mean, this brother has kind of walked the tightrope of kind of controversial couple of statements on social media, a couple of statements with me and him personally 5-6 years ago, and then fast forward all the way up until a week ago, statements he got caught saying by a guy who, to me, he disrespected, who is the hand that feeds you. Know how they say don't bite the hand that feeds you? This was the number one hand that feeds him.
Wow.
So Smokey Suarez, shout out to Smokey Suarez, one of our veterans of this comedy thing. He's a
Yes.
soldier. I was making fun of him on Sean Harvey morning show this morning, saying we going to bat for Smokey like Saving Private Ryan. He's Private Ryan, and we gonna go to. That's how hard we going to save this dude, and because he was hurt. This was a guy
Yeah.
he took under his wing, and he gave him the most work. Even when I banned him with me, Smokey was that driving force for this guy.
Yeah. And
So for him to hear those words was hurtful. Go ahead.
and I think for all of us, regardless to what you know life throws at you, we're all under the gun, especially in this particular time frame. Whether it's you look at last year, you fast forward to where we are this year, and by that I simply mean everybody's under pressure, some shape, form, fashion. We're all under pressure. Things that go on in your head, sometimes you may have to leave them in your head. That's just what it is. It doesn't make you a good person, doesn't make you a bad person. But more so than anything, in conjunction with what Talon is talking about, we have for so long, and we continue to be the catalyst for not only change, but turning the other cheek and letting things go. But we
Right.
always have to be the catalyst for that because, fortunately, unfortunately, we're usually in a position where if we respond in any specific way, is looked at under such a microscope that it makes us appear to be solely wrong. Like there's no leeway there. There's no movement for people to be able to say, wait a minute, this person may have their own things that they're going through, but I'm not gonna even, put that in the equation. I'm just gonna totally say that they're wrong. And like I said, that's usually when it comes to us. We're loud, we're boisterous, we're this, we're that. And I was having a few conversations this weekend, and I, pointed out to some people, it's not that we're loud. We just come from a segue of the population where, unfortunately, you have to make your voice heard. When you don't have the opportunity to sometimes voice your opinion, as small or large as it may be, you have to figure out ways to go, hold up, enough's enough. You keep not allowing me to voice my opinion, either talking condescendingly. We're talking about this, particular situation with this gentleman, but we saw what happened with Sharon Osbourne and, our sister on, what's that, The View? I'm sorry,
The talk.
I'm sorry, The Talk. We saw what happened with that. And usually that's what the problem is. When we're trying to educate, when we're trying to put people in a space where they can then go, oh, maybe I didn't look at it from that perspective. Sometimes we find ourselves in a fight where the way we're trying to explain things, you're coming at us condescendingly, you're coming at us in a way that we're almost one step away from catching a case. And I say that jokingly, but I say that seriously at the same time, because most of us have enough. Like, enough is enough. That's a running thing for us. Like, enough is enough. But y'all don't seem to get that, because that's not what you have to be faced with every day. That's something that we have to be faced with every single solitary day. Doesn't make a difference what walk of life you're in. You got to be faced with that. Yeah. And it becomes too much of a burden. So sometimes you got to pull yourself out of the situation either altogether, or you just got to go off. And then when everybody, watches you explode, they'll go, oh my goodness, I'm shocked and surprised. No, don't be shocked and surprised. Don't be shocked and surprised. All of us have it. We just try to do our best to not bring it out, because for a good portion of us, that side is something that we don't even like. We're like, oh, you want to see that side? Okay.
Right. You ain't never lied, man. But so to catch people up, and we're gonna go back and bring it all the way up to speed, and we got a couple more guests that's gonna come during the hour and give their 2 cents on it. Sean Harvey based his morning show on it this morning, and we had a very productive show. I chimed in, Rashawn Reese chimed in, a couple of people chimed in. So we're gonna have him later in the hour, as well as Chanel Renee, comedian out of Philly, because Philly, you'll see the intricate part that Philly played in the movement. They were the first ones, after me, off the social media thing, to make a move, out there, because he was going to Philly a lot, getting on those stages as well. So we'll have those guys. But right now, let's bring this queen into the living room. This is my girl, Stephanie McCrae. Clap it up for the queen, Stephanie.
Hey, guys. Hey.
Hello.
Talent.
How are you?
I am so glad. Hi, I'm sorry. What's your name, Amir?
Amir.
Yes.
Amir, nice to meet you. I'm
Nice
so
to
glad
meet you.
that you invited me back on here, because this thing has been bothering me since yesterday.
Me too.
I've been finding myself. I had to take some stuff off of social media because it's becoming outside of a Barry Ribs, outside of a white guy, because now we have our brothers and sisters, and I mean Black people, who are now coming to the defense of Barry Ribs and his behavior based on the superficial relationship that they've had with him. And so I've been trying to explain to them, Matt Richards being one, posted something on social media. And so I was going back and forth with him, and he actually deleted some of the comments because he knew he was going to get fired for the shit that he said. And then I started arguing with another white guy. And then I told Matt, I said, see, this is why your post is problematic. For those that don't know, he posted Barry Ribs is innocent, because now you have other white people who feel like they can just come out the woodworks and make fun of a serious situation that we're taking to heart, that we're hurt by, we're frustrated by, and we're tired of. And that behavior that you were talking about, Amir, is the same behavior that I think all of us are tired of. And it's that covert racism, right? It's not that outright racism, but it's that racism where, oh, you talk so articulate. Well, what the fuck do you mean I'm articulate? Well, why are you? That's called covert racism, right? Because now you're marginalizing me to people that you see as not intelligent enough or has not risen to the occasion that I can speak like I got some sense. Or as you said, Amir, I don't have to show you that side of me. Right?
They treat me like a slave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then when we get out of pocket, there go black people again, but not recognizing the shit that they do. And that was another thing that I was very frustrated by Barry Ribb's comments. And I said this on your show. He made some comments about the food stamps, the welfare, again, marginalizing black people, but marginalizing us to the same system that you yourself take full advantage of. And then we're supposed to sit back and take this. I'm going to take it even a step further, even when we have this Asian hate. Listen, I don't promote hate on no level, but we've seen the videos. We've personally felt where Asian people have been above and beyond disrespectful to us with us spending our money with them. But here go black people shucking and jiving. Oh, don't do this, don't do that. This not our fight. This not. And then when we're in a fight that is our fight, like right now, there's so many guys, and I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna call his name out. Gerald Kelly called me yesterday with the bullshit. So when I call him back today, trying to kind of figure out where he was coming from, it was, oh, I ain't got time for this. Well, nigga, you call me. So when did we realize we didn't have time?
Well, let me say this. Let me say this. Let me dip in here and say this. Here's the funny thing. What did I say to you, Amir? I just said like probably 10 times in the past 7 days how when you shake a tree, trying to shake out a racist, several other racists will fall out of that tree. The whole Sharon Osbourne thing happened inadvertently by accident. They wasn't even going after Sharon. They was talking about Pierce, and a question came because she's a friend, and she tweeted, "Oh, I stand by you," boom, boom, boom. And because they did that little bit right there, she went right into defense mode and showed her true colors. And it's like you shook the tree. You're not even trying to get her, trying to get this cat down. And then the whole 2 more cats fell. This is what's happening with the Matt Richards or whatever. You're coming to the defense of something, bruh. You don't know the deepness of it, first of all, A. And B, be careful because you automatically start to become complicit. So if we deem him at the court of the black community, at the end of the day, come back with a guilty verdict of racist, and you saying, nah, he cool, he innocent, everything he said, Negro, you get wrapped up in that and you become racist too by guilty of association because you knew what it was, you defended it, you jumped on the side of it, you confirmed it and gave it the seal of approval. Now we got, to go back to rest in peace, the Queen, Whitney Houston, we got the receipts. Yes,
we have it. That's the thing. It's like this ain't nothing y'all heard. This ain't a speculation. This shit is right here sitting in your lap, prepared for you right here. What you mean? He didn't mean that. What you mean? And then I had to tell him that. I said, the same person you are defending when he said urban black comics, because let's be clear, Matt, you didn't start where you was at. He's talking about you. Brother, that's you. You could try and remove yourself away from us as far as you want to, but he's talking about your black ass too.
Yep.
He's talking about you.
And the funny thing about this is, let me go back to a lot of people who may jump in and not have the buildup of this story. Bottom line, like I said, comedian Barry Ribbs was caught. And here's the thing, usually when this stuff makes the mainstream news and everything, there's a tape, there's an email that comes about, there's something discovered. This is from the horse's mouth. The guy who you're talking about lumping in this conversation with whoever you're talking to at the time is in the other room hearing you through the wall. And then when he approached you with it, which is your time to shine with the explaining how it got all mixed up and lost in translation, instead of trying to defend it at first, your first reaction, your first reflex, is when he says, "Why would you say that about me?" Your first response is, "Why was you listening to me?" Nigga, if that ain't fucking guilty.
If that ain't disrespect, fuck guilt. I don't respect you enough to even acknowledge, or even, because at that point, if Smokey would have left it there, he wouldn't have said nothing. Like, I said what I said. What you doing listening to me, you fucking peasant?
Right.
Because that's what I heard.
And they got to stop. Here's my thing. Because I don't put too much faith in people. You know, you live and you learn. I got 30 years in this shit now, and if I look back, I got more people that I, diverted my attention from than gravitated towards because of that reason. You don't put your eggs in one basket. People are always going to be people, even if we're not dealing with race. People, if you put too much faith in them, they can let you down. We know that. So because I don't put too much faith in people, you know what I mean? I know how this shit goes. They will let you down, and you this your superhero you put up here, and come to find out your superhero has been racist all the fuck along.
Right.
You know what I mean? So to the guy who's speeding with that hand, Smokey Suarez, shout out to Smokey again. And now we're here to the point where we got to make a conscious decision. You have to respect the dollar that is keeping you afloat. You are naming that what kills is so many wrongs in this thing. But one that stands out to me is when you say these black urban thug comedians would be in jail if they didn't have comedy. Motherfucker, you was homeless when you started this. You are the person you're talking about. The biggest threat to committing a crime and ending up in jail at that moment, brother, it's not these black comedians that's coming out of the projects and out of houses and homes in Long Island and Brooklyn and Mount Vernon and Queens and West Coast and Midwest. The biggest threat to that scenario is a motherfucker that's down and out on rock bottom who like eating out of the garbage can, Barry ribs, homeless Barry ribs. The black community saved your fucking ass.
As we do everyone.
Respect that dollar.
As we do everyone. Exactly. Can I say another thing real quick? You know what else bothers me about this situation? And not that we would accept it. He hasn't even apologized. He hasn't even said what I said was wrong. This is what I meant. Maybe you guys misinterpreted, but if I hurt your feelings, he hasn't even apologized.
Let me tell you something, Stephanie, here's the funny thing. Somebody called me somebody who's a mutual friend who knows both of us after watching Sunday's long fucking live about the shit, calls me in the middle of the night after they spoke with Barry, right? But so they talking to me and they're really borderline, they're walking the border. They're trying to be cool with me, but at the same time, make justice for him and make it make sense. And in the middle of the conversation in that defense, one question comes out and they're talking about my incident 5-6 years ago. And they go, so you mean to tell me in the whole 5-6 years since that happened, he's never once reached out or tried to apologize? I said, absolutely not. And the person just stopped right there and was like, oh, well, let's just drop this shit then. Because I would have thought somewhere maybe you caught in your feelings and didn't accept an apology. The motherfucker never made an effort in 5 or 6 years. This is part of the problem. Like Stephanie said, this is part of the problem of even, we know nobody here is perfect. Let's be clear. Black, white, Puerto Rican, Latin, Asian, nobody's perfect. But at least you can be a grown-up and a human being enough that when you misstep and do something wrong that may have hurt, offended, or just stepped out of line, we come back to the table like, yo, bro, or sis, partner, sir, ma'am, I am so sorry. Now I'm thinking about it, it came out wrong, or I didn't mean it that way, or please accept my apology. When a person never even sees that error in their ways, that's the blatant, most disrespectful part of it all. Because
you don't matter. You don't matter.
And that's unbelievable. And people, again, we're talking Amir and talent along with Stephanie McQuay. And let me say this, the reason why I bring her in first is, again, to go back to Smokey wrestled with this for a full week before he even put his blurb up. When he posted the blurb, here's the black empathetic motherfuckers in us. Even as hurt as he was, he tried to leave the name out. He left the name out.
Put his name.
And Stephanie being my gung-ho queen, I love her for her fucking adamant fucking tenacity and transparency and just being fucking real. Said, no, I was on the phone with him when this shit went down. He's talking about Barry Rips. And this is where the steam got in the boat.
And I think first of all, Stephanie, thank you for, again, like Talent said, having the gumption to bring this stuff to light. Because that's another problem that we have, unfortunately, as a community. Yes, we wrestle with things because, like I said, in all fairness, as I stated earlier, as a community, that's not our DNA. Like, we're not wired that way. We're not wired for vindictiveness. We're not wired for whatever. Do we have situations where stuff like that happens? No question. But all great races have that. But as a collective, that's not what we're about. We're about math, science, love, and all kind of other beautiful things. That's just in our DNA.
Can I tell you this? Can I tell you this, Amir, just to prove exactly what you said? Do you know that I am catching more heat from Black people about
Who?
what's happening? Nigga, I'm gonna send you some screenshots.
Please.
Niggas is like, why? Why you doing this? Why? Like, what? We're talking about somebody who violated us. You know what I'm saying? And me, it's like I said, people don't know my background. My father was a fucking Black Panther. My mother was a ride or fucking die. She got her 2 front teeth knocked out by the police. Like, I come from this shit. Okay, so I don't tolerate it on no level whatsoever. So if I see somebody making some egregious comments or behavior towards Black people, I take offense to that. And I jump into go mode immediately. And yes, I become very fearless when it comes to this kind of shit. So the nerve of you to be kind of trying to check in me or want to play devil's advocate on some shit that you've seen.
Yeah.
Well, do me a favor. Make sure, Steph, you not only send me screenshots. These Black people, if I know them, I want the names. I want their names because I'm the same fucking way. Like,
and that's what I feel like, Talent. Ain't nobody coming to my defense on this.
I am.
You feel me?
I am.
It's like the nerve of y'all.
I am. And here's the thing about that. And this is without even seeing the names first. This is just me generally talking. If it's men and it's Black men, then this is that sexist bullshit. Now, see, this is where sexism come into play. You know how I argue with sexism all day? This is real sexism. If motherfuckers are coming at you, and I ain't got no real come ats or calls, and all the dudes that was on live, because we had about 10 motherfuckers jump in and out. Only 2 of y'all, 3 of y'all was females. And one of them's on the show now. We're gonna bring him into the living room. Chanel Renee, bring in my girl Chanel Renee into the living room as well. So it was only 3 of my sisters that came on and was able to stand up and stand their ground and talk how they really feel. And I appreciate you, Queens, for doing that. Chanel, welcome to the show. This is my brother Amir.
Hi, doing Amir. Hey, Talent. Hey, Steph. Once again.
Hey, Chanel. Yeah, once again, dear.
Chanel, have you been catching any heat like she's talking about?
No, ain't nobody in Philly saying nothing to me, so I don't know.
Well, you know what? Again, Philly was the ones that jumped out against him before this. So
even the comedians in Philly that were on his team, like when they were having a show here in a couple of weeks, when we reached out, like, a couple promoters here said something to the promoter that was running the show, said something to the comics that were on the show, particularly one of them just refused to kind of deal with it. But even they haven't said anything. They just everybody just don't want to be. Nobody don't want to be on the wrong side of this at this point in Philadelphia, I guess, just looking at it that way. It's hard to stand up for something. So at this point, it's easier to stay silent.
But see, that's my thing. That's my whole argument about today on this show. It's like we have been saying silent for so fucking long.
Exactly.
And it gotta hit a you gotta hit a point in life where you stand up for something or fall for everything. We hear that shit all the time, but we're in it right now. We're sitting in that cesspool of expression. And if we don't, how do you expect anybody else to have your back? Because this has happened to one of our veterans in the game right now. And if it was a thing that didn't bother Smokey, we probably wouldn't be talking about this. But you hurt this man. You hurt this man. This man said out of his own mouth, and he's a very proud dude. I've known Smokey every inch and every year of me in my comedy existence. And let me tell you something. I can not just count on one hand, maybe 2 fingers to how many times I've seen him upset or hurt by something. Maybe 2 fingers.
And that was the key. He said he was hurt.
Yeah,
he said out his own mouth. Man, when a Black man say they hurt, let me tell you something.
He hurt.
Come on.
Yeah.
There's certain words and phrases Black men avoid at all costs. So when a motherfucker say, "Yeah, the shit hurt me," stop the presses. Cut everything off. Did this motherfucker, did Ving Rhames just say,
right. Because
that's what it's like. the strongest man. We're so used to, and you black women, I'm preaching to the choir when I'm saying these things, because what's stronger than a black woman? You understand what I'm saying? You are the backbone. So you've been put through so many ringers and stuff like that. And that's why I said to Stephanie, the dudes that are approaching you, that are commenting on your shit, that are coming in your inbox and leaving messages, fucking cowards. And I'll take that on. You got back. You know what I mean? I'm to the rescue. You got back. Because there ain't a motherfucker out there that could put this shit, stack it against these 30 years. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And what's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. And you know I mean what I say, because, again, I told motherfuckers about my incident with this guy almost 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't go to the extent, because here we go, the ever-loving black thing again. Part of me had the empathy to not ruin this nigga totally. It was just like, take him out of your world.
But if I can say, I think the other thing is, like, from a comic to a comic, you understand the hustle, you understand the grind too. So it's like, I'm not saying you gave him empathy because, oh, you the black man. No, but you understand, if I do this, I'm still going to take food out of your mouth. Now, that part doesn't resonate, because it's like, he's doing what he's doing. He's not thinking about that, because he's thinking he can do what he wants to do. But as a comic to a comic, you're thinking like, all right, if I do this and I just blackball you and I really put it out there, I'm going to destroy you eating. So I don't think taking it as, the black man just being so sympathetic. No, you also see the part of, this is my career, this is the grind. So give yourself some credit in that. And I think that was Smokey's thing too. You didn't really want to do that, because Smokey, anybody knows him, Smokey knows him. He's been around him, his situation, the stuff that he goes through. So Smokey probably thinking like, if I really do this, you probably not gonna eat, or you're not gonna eat after this, just on stage, off stage, period. So the human part kicks in.
Right.
Let me tell you how Smokey is so unsavage. When we was talking, when I was on the phone with him and that shit was happening, y'all know I went ape shit crazy. I'm like, fuck that, Smokey. Don't put this nigga on the show. I'll be there in 2 hours. You ain't even gotta pay me, and I'm coming to do the show. Take him off. Smokey was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I said, nigga, take him off. I'm getting in my car right now. I will be in Delaware. And this shit happened all of maybe around noon, 1 o'clock. So and the show didn't start till like 7 or 8. I had plenty of time to get there. And Smokey was like, nah,
first of all, let the record show Smokey's a better man than me.
Because you'd have been like, bitch, come on.
Absolutely. Without a doubt, without even thinking about it, absolutely. And I just told somebody this once, what would you do? I said, he would have been canceled right there, and then I would have dealt with the bigger thing. Here's my thing. I know why I did what I did. I did what I did, and part of it, you're right, Chanel, because I'm part of the grind, so I understand it. But the bigger thing with me came down to it being an isolated incident. I'm one of those guys that I'm not going to really let you hang yourself on one incident. It got to be atrocious for one incident to hang you. This guy, that was the first thing, and it made me cringe and feel a certain way. But again, still one isolated incident. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I have the power over me. So I can control not having to deal with you no more. I wipe you out of my life. And I did that. Now, in hindsight, I guess in my subconscious, I expected in those 5 years for a phone call or a text or email, even though I said lose my number, part of me did expect for the man to come back and go, can I talk to you? Hey, man, that came off wrong. You're right. I should have blah, 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 and boom, boom, boom. And even if we, at the end of that conversation, agreed to disagree, I can respect that as a man. And part of me was like expecting that. And year after year after, it never happened. So I took that away on with my life and career, right? Then you pop up with a couple of questionable social media things. Then in the climate, this is where shit gets bad. Let's look at our lives. We're all black right now. Let's look at our lives as a thermometer on the wall. The climate, that fucking thermometer is popping at the top now. So because it's popping at the top and it's a heated climate with this race thing, I lost all sympathy for somebody who has a body of work leading up into this climate and says, fuck the climate, and I'm going to continue to do this shit. That's why when I see a talk with police brutality, nigga, really? Right now?
Right now.
Right. Right.
Take the time. Yeah.
So he did this thing. Like I said, it worked up. When the George Floyd happened and we in the height of that moment and people were fighting for their rights and their lives, and they're in the street. Because don't get it twisted, we still in the middle of a pandemic, and people are out in the street in crowds like they know they shouldn't be. But shit, by damn it, I'm risking my life to save my life. I get it. I get it. The protesters risking his life to save his life. So you get a few rioters that get upset. They break in windows. They start fires. They damaging property. This dude goes on social media and go, and this is when it was the camera was on Philly, and they're like, rioters and looters. Really? Food stamps ain't enough?
Lost it. We lost it. We lost every fiber of our being. Like, y'all know we got a lot of comics that moved from Philly to New York. They was losing it, like sending it all to us. Like, what?
Philly was on fire when that happened.
We lost
Like,
it.
I salute to Philly, man. Y'all was on it when that shit happened. I was trying to go hard for New York, but niggas wasn't fucking with me. They're like, nah, that's Barry Ribs. Yeah, all right.
What they say, Steph?
It's just like,
but you know what?
They was canceling New York.
yeah, nigga, they wasn't even fucking with. I was about to get canceled. You feel me? I was like, well, let me shut up before I get canceled. For my next show get fucking canceled. No, nigga.
What'd you say,
Amir?
I was gonna say, you know what? Sometimes we late to the dance, and we late to the dance usually because once we do catch on, then it really is a wrap for you. We one of them cities. We're not like any other city. I always say this. You know, people be like, "Oh, New York." I said, "Look, we're the only city in the world. I mean, the only city that you go any place in the world and they ask is New York in the building. They don't do that for every other city. They only ask if they know you're in the building. They don't. You ain't never been in Japan. They're like, it's OKC here. No, nobody cares. No, nobody cares. New York, no matter where we are, they ask is New York in the building. And people be like, and we'll lie. You could have been born in New York and left here as a baby. Grew up someplace totally different. I was born in Brooklyn. You was here for 30 seconds. That doesn't count.
Right.
So that doesn't give you.
You ain't never lied. My queens, my sisters, thank y'all so much. Stephanie McCrae.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chanel Renee. Chanel, I'm gonna call you when I get off the air.
Amir, it's nice meeting you. Thank you, Silent.
Nice to meet you too.
Salute to my queen right there.
Love you, T.
McCrae.
All right.
Chanel Renee.
Hi, y'all.
Yes, I see you, Miss Pink. Trina said, even when we talk about New York, we talk about New York as a whole state. You know, we are a powerful state. Shout out to my peoples in Syracuse, Buffalo, Rochester,
all of that.
Niagara Falls, you know, Albany. You know, I'm in Westchester. You know, you got all the boroughs, obviously, Long Island. So from top to bottom, when we say New York, we rep the whole damn state. But do you understand what I'm saying, Amir? How I got here is, I think it's a lot to ask. I'm a realist. First of all, let me back up. I'm a realist. If you don't know that about me, you know now. I'm a realist. And sometimes being a realist, you are the outcast. Sometimes you're speaking on stuff people don't want to speak on. Sometimes you're noticing things people don't want to notice, you know, or be brought to the forefront. I get it. Yeah. I know I'm that oddball out, and I know that's part of my hazard of the job or whatever. But the one thing I do know as a realist, and people have high hopes, higher than mine, that they think, no, we can change people. I'm not that person. I'm not that person. I am the person who's the realist. So I say that to say, I know there's a lot of people we can't change. But what we can do is direct respect, if that makes any sense to you. I maybe can't change deep inner thought and belief, but I can direct respect, meaning you're making money off of the Black community. Respect us. I got a brother that has out in Brooklyn. What is it? I think it's called 100 Suits. He has a foundation, an organization where they go around prisons and group homes and parts of the community, and they dress, bro. They teach them how to do job interviews and fill out applications. They give them suits to go on those job interviews and stuff like that. And I interviewed him on one of these shows last year, and one thing that stood out to me that was dope, he said, matter of fact, he was in Queens, I think, and he said in his neighborhood, they had all of these foreign entrepreneurships that we patron, from the Asian ladies with the hair product stores to the restaurants of them. You know what they did as a coalition? They went around to these businesses, and not no hostile, violent shit, but they literally put pressure on these businesses to say, hey man, you are in this community every day getting money hand over fist every day. You don't have one person from the community working for you, not a delivery boy, a stock boy, nothing. And fast forward a month or two, these Asian stores, they had a sister in there working, maybe the register, maybe the stock, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
the stock room or inventory, whatever the case may be, but you can't take from something, don't give back. And that's where this is hitting the nerve with us outside of Smokey is this is a guy who, and I'm not exaggerating, I know it sounds like a fucking movie, but I'm dead ass. This is a guy who is made his bones and got a second chance, if not a third chance, at life at a late age. It's not a young, all you people that's listening, maybe you're getting the perception that he's young, 30, 40. No, this is an older white man. This is what I mean by you can't change everybody. This is a white man. When you take his age into consideration, if he wasn't a comic, you would look at him and maybe he might be racist. He's that age. So if you put into effect his parenting and upbringing, and he admits his parents, his dad, and everybody was racist. If you put that into effect, those are decades and decades of upbringing that's put into here, into motion. So my 1 to 2 years of saying, hey, don't do that, can never equate to the 50 years of them saying this is the way to do it. You know, with that being said, let's bring our boy back in here. Back, a friend of the show is back, Sean Harvey from the Sean Harvey Morning Show. Welcome to What up, brother?
What's going on, brother?
What's up, guys? Can you guys hear me?
Absolutely, yes, sound loud and clear, brother. You look like a angel. Like, are you dialing in from heaven?
Oh, my fault. It's like light behind me. You know, you always got to have the light behind you.
Right.
You know,
right.
First of all, it's good to see you guys, man. Great topic. You know, it's funny thing that you mentioned that with Asian folks, first of all, and then the community. For me personally, I stopped eating Chinese food. And the reason why I stopped eating Chinese food was I was in the Bronx in the High Bridge section on Ogden Avenue and 160, whatever, over there by Yankee Stadium. Mm-hmm. And I go in and I get my regular beef and broccoli, the wings or whatever, you know, we all eat. And I looked at the lady and I simply asked her, I said, Miss, do you know anything about Black folks? You know, I said to her, do you know what collard greens are? And she had no clue what I was talking about. And in my mind, I was like, well, okay, there's a number of Blacks and Latinos coming in here and we're supporting you. And you don't take not one moment to just learn the neighborhood, learn the culture. And I seriously had a problem with that. And I like what you said, T, about, you know, well, whatever business you was talking about where they have there was a Black person in there eventually. That's a good look, and that's what goes back to what we're talking about with this situation with Barry and Barry Ribs is the fact that us Black folks, naturally, we're inviting, we're loving, we're caring, we're receptive. We will let you in. You pointed out that earlier today on my show. We will let you in our house. We Aunt Mary will cook for you.
Yeah.
Like, that's how we get down. So when you come into our culture and you come into what we love, what we do as far as urban comedy, it's almost an exploitation of what you're doing, because that's why we're all hurt. We're hurt because even though we knew who you were, you spilled the beans with Smokey Suarez in Wilmington, Delaware. So I'm hurt in a sense because, like, I know this, when you know a person for 15 years, and then all this comes out, like, what relationship did we really have? We didn't have a relationship. None of this was real. This racism is one situation, but racism is one situation, but the arrogancy of this is another situation. I understand the fact, and you called it out today, T, and I really appreciate you calling in on the show. You said it earlier, if you're not going to respect what we do, you're going to respect our dollar. You're going to respect the Black dollar. There is 43 million African Americans in this country. you are going to respect that. And to act so reckless in your racism in the climate that we are in today with social injustice, George Floyd and all Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
I mean, you should take a moment and just yield and go, you know what? Black folks, they mad right now. There's a lot going on. Let me chill and let me fall
Yeah.
back with my racism. But when you
Yeah.
go when you go and just exploit it with your arrogancy, we can't have that. We
Bro,
cannot
that's the shit.
have this
That's
in
the
our
shit.
community.
Yo, that's the shit that drives me crazy. Like when I see after George Floyd, right, and we kept seeing these random videos of police brutality. I'm like, really? Like with everything that's going on right now, if you're a cop and you got the rhinoceros-sized balls to
Right.
do police brutality and get caught on camera, right now, nigga, like,
Yeah.
are you fucking crazy? Let me back up, Sean, and say this about us because I said the part about how we are very sympathetic, empathetic, and inviting people. Now, first of all, let me say this with that. I don't want anybody of color that hear me say that or that go through what we're going through right now by being inviting and get betrayed to stop being that beautiful person. That's
True.
our nature. I don't
True.
want,
True.
because there's people out there who will get turned off and stop being that person. Don't do that. That's our nature. That's what
Right.
puts us above everybody else when it comes
Yeah.
to just your heart. That as a motion person, as a loving person, your loving level is above a lot more than others because we will go above and beyond and invite people in, and we will save lives, right? That's first
Yeah.
of all. Second of
True.
all, what we have to understand with a lot of people, this gets swept over more times than not. When we look at, because we mentioned in Asians, right, in different communities, whether we talk about Jewish people, Asians, certain Hispanics, or any type of background who may deem themselves above us, you got to understand something. The stereotyping and classifying of our people goes above and beyond just the Caucasian Anglo-Saxon.
Right. Right.
It goes against those people and those Europeans when you go back in history and all that. Over hundreds of years, what has happened is they have created their own monikers and classifications
Yes.
and stereotypes of us that because this is America, right? They set
Yeah.
that bar. So every race that comes in here or watches America, especially in the TV age, because we are supposedly the #1 country in the world, right? Greatest place to live, land of freedom and all that shit. So everybody looks to us to what to follow. So if you that immigrant of Asian descent, Hispanic descent, Italian, whatever it is, when you come to this land, you're following what they wrote about us.
Right.
These people are one third of a man, 3/5 of a man. These people are ignorant. These people are looters, rioters. They're killers. They're all these things that we get offended by. People look at us like that. So when you give that scenario of the Chinese restaurant and the people like don't know what the fuck you're talking about, they don't do the research because they don't have to. For
Right.
so long, they didn't have to, but that's changing now. Now
Yes.
people are looking at their dollar and where they spend it, and they're thinking twice. And even these corporate America, since the climate has changed, corporate America has jumped on board with that too. When I open
Yep.
up Uber Eats, shout out
Yep.
to Uber Eats, because when I open up Uber Eats, the first thing that come up is, would you like to support a black restaurant near you?
Yeah.
Would you like
Right.
to see our
Right.
list
Right.
of black restaurants near you? I'm like, yeah,
Right.
nigga, I feel all tough and shit. Yeah,
Right.
Uber, fuck you up, yo.
You know
You
what's
better
so
But
so
see, but the thing about that's what makes it so that what makes it so insidious about what we're going through, because the fact that crazy is crazy, I get that. But there's a lot of information that we get every day in real time via the internet, via our devices. So there's a lot that we need to, there's a lot of information, even for listen, racist people have a lot of information on black folk and whatever. There's a lot of information. So if you know this information is out there and you racist and you still and you're still arrogant to be racist, to have this racism in you, go home and chill and be racist and come outside. It's
I
too much.
wouldn't be so, Sean, I wouldn't be so upset if people wore what they were all the time. See, what I hate is the hypocrisy. I
Yeah.
hate the hypocritical shit. Like, I'm gonna be funny right now. Like, look at Amir. I told Amir when he came on the show, he looked like his album dropped Tuesday, right? I said, nigga, he looked like he got a nice album with some guest appearances, Raphael Sadiq, En Vogue, Mos Def, right? So look, now if that was true and Amir was an artist, this is how hypocritical racism is. They will talk the shit Barry Ribs talks, demean us, think they better than, politely extort like he tried to do me, have the comments they have on the rioters and the looters and all that, and will go buy Amir's album and love him and dance to his music all day and night long like a motherfucker. Am I right, Amir?
Right.
It's crazy. You're absolutely right. A classic, what you call it, that is if you're on TikTok. Unfortunately, I got hooked on TikTok. TikTok has so many videos of people of other descents doing R&B this or 90s that. The biggest real issue that we're dealing with, though, is the unfortunate misinformation that is being divulged every day about our communities, about the men and women in our communities, about the children from our communities. That's really what the disparaging thing is. Tal and I touched on this last week when we talked about the narrative. The real issue is the narrative that is constantly portrayed out there, us being not articulate, us not having the ability to understand and comprehend situations, and then make valid, decisions on how to go about switching and changing it. Right. I had a conversation with a friend of mine today, and this is true story to exactly what you guys are saying. Whether we look at Louis Vuitton, Gucci, all these, different brands that are out here, the only reason why those brands are quote unquote luxury, and the only reason why they have style and they have swag is because of African Americans, period. Yeah. It's not to take anything away from other groups and this and that and the third, but we're the ones who always bring flavor to everything. So much so, if y'all look at the sneakers that are out now, whether they Balenciagos or Coach, those new chunky sneakers that you see everybody wearing. Let's keep it 1,000. All of us are in that age range. In our day, those sneakers were usually worn by, unfortunately, people who we thought had a foot impediment or leg impediment. The shoe was a little bit bigger, so forth and so on. Now it's fashionable and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's still a chunky shoe for the dude who we thought was special. Like, look, I don't care if y'all slapped a name on it, making it saying that it's this or that. It's the same shoe. That's anything new for me.
Did you call it a chunky shoe?
The chunky shoe? You know what I'm talking about? You remember when we was kids? You seen the kid with the chunky shoe? You was like, yo. It is what it is. I'm not,
No, but you're right, because we make everything. Here's the thing. What's funny? And we didn't even ask for this, but this is attached to us. In the world, for whatever reason, we make everything cool. It's funny you mentioned the shoes that orthopedic. Back then, you had like you said, your foot was messed up. It was used for orthopedic purposes. Dude, something like a cane. When we was growing up, how many cool niggas in the hood? Nothing wrong with these niggas, but they got a cool cane.
Yeah.
And then you say, wow, this nigga ain't nothing wrong with him. He got this cool ass cane until he get in the beef and he beat the shit out of somebody with the cane. Then you say, that's why he got the cane.
That's right. Listen, all that swag was definitely definitely came from Black folks and our swag. Listen, let me tell you something. If it wasn't for the Bronx, New York, none of y'all would be wearing fitteds.
That's true.
So again, like you said, the exploitation of all of this. Today, Amir, my whole thing today that I got a lot of peace in my heart is the fact that for a moment in our culture of urban comedy, I felt good because there was a moment of unification across the board on this one. Because we're in a competitive field, we're doing stand-up, we're running around the country. The country's starting to open up. Everybody's starting to work. It seems like we're getting ready to get back into what we've been doing. But for once, for the last 24 hours, the urban community, for me, had a sense of unification. And that gave me peace throughout the day today. To be unified on a cause that we believe in, because it's hard for us to do that because there's a lot going on in everybody's lives. But today, it just proved to me, especially when Smokey Suarez called in and he talked about how when COVID started, I called Barry and I wanted to make sure he has something to eat and all that. That's the way we're built. We're built
Right.
like that. So the
You know what's crazy?
unification today, Amir, is something that I'm just holding on to. And Talent, you're right. We let's stay loving. We don't have to be resentful. We
Yeah, don't
are
stay.
who we are as Black people. This is who we are. We need to
Yeah.
just stay the course. But the unification today with us
We need that.
was an
Let me tell you
amazing
something.
feeling.
The analogy that I'll put to what you just said, what you just reiterated, I said about we don't need to change who we are, even when people go astray, even when people let us down, even when people show us they're not who we thought they are. If a school teacher quit every time somebody dropped out of school, we would have no school teachers.
Right.
We would be an ignorant, uneducated society for most part. This is why you don't abandon who you are. This is why you don't abandon anything that you are. We are built from a certain loving ground and grassroots, and we need to keep that. Sean, I want to say this. You had a great morning show this morning. Your show was impeccable, bro. And whenever we can walk away, we're doing hours of entertainment and in there thread the needle with some information. You are the impeccable man. You're in a position that we need you to stay in. Keep doing what you're doing, fighting the fight. Ladies and gentlemen, every weekday morning, Sean Harvey Morning Show. Thank you, my brother. Peace to you, King.
Good to see you, Sean.
Yo, Amir,
Good to see you, bro.
I need to pick that album up too after the show. Where do I get it?
Get out of here. Get out of here. The Sean Harvey Morning Show on Facebook. You can look it up. The Sean Harvey Morning Show featuring the Wake Up Team. Do that. Trina said, do y'all think Barry will apologize? Well, here's what I heard from Smokey. I heard he tried to apologize not too long after, but it wasn't sincere. From the horse's mouth, he felt it wasn't sincere. He felt sometimes we apologize for the wrong reasons. You're not sorry how you felt, what you said. You're sorry he heard that shit.
And he got caught. Exactly.
Yeah, you got caught, and you're sorry that's going to affect your bottom line. And I get that. But I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to let Mir rock out and talk to you. For all the people out there, the sound of my voice, if you're one of those comedians, especially a male comedian, and you're coming out at my female queen comedians who are standing their ground and fighting the fight for this Black dollar and this Black respect, I'm coming for you. Like, we're not leaving our women unprotected like that. You know what I mean? And the fact that she said people are cold, people are saying this and coming at me this, y'all need to stop that shit. If you don't want to say nothing along this, again, what did I say, Amir? I can't change who you are and make you do anything up here, nor am I trying to make you do anything up here. You are who you are, you be who you be. But what you will not do is in turn pick the side of bullying, because ain't nobody call me. Ain't nobody call me and say, T, stop that shit. Why are you doing that shit? Because you're going to get the real. So don't do it to these female comedians either. You know, you heard her give her background. She's from Black Panther background. And we fight hard about our shit.
Only thing I'll add to that, and Talent, really nailed it. Look, first and foremost, the other part of this thing, and Talent, alluded to this earlier. If you aren't going to add to it, meaning bring something to the table that will help further what we're going through, and you really in your heart and your spirit feel like this is not your fight, it's okay to sit on the sideline and don't say nothing. But don't get into the fight on the wrong side, because when you get into the fight on the wrong side, now we got to look at you, suspect. Look, we try not to bring slavery and color and all this stuff into everything, but is house nigga, feel nigga. No disrespect. I don't want anybody to feel one way or any way about those words or that terminology. What I'm trying to say to you and what I want people to understand is, if you choose to not be a part of trying to further what we're going through and how we're trying to get past some of the nonsense and the hurdles that we've had to this point, then shut up and just sit it out.
It's just that simple.
If you jump on the other side, understand that we're now going to pick up arms against you as well, because now we see you as the same threat as we see those other people. And that's just the reality of it all. We did it when we was kids. You do it now as an adult. Don't get brand new and go, oh, well, no, you took it wrong. There's no taking it wrong. You can't pick and choose the moments when you think it's okay for you to say A, B, C, and D. The fact that this gentleman said to somebody who has literally been helping him just maintain, come on, there's nothing else to say about that. There's nothing else to say about that. As far as the bullying goes,
hey, Amir, I'm treating it like when I watched the George Floyd thing unfold, right? And I remember just watching the video over and over again and just staring at, for some reason, my eyes and my vision got locked on, because once I seen his knee on his neck 8 minutes once or twice, I didn't look at that no more. I knew what that was, but I started looking at the surroundings, and I'm looking at all the other cops. And then the other video comes out from the other angle. We see more cops, and I'm looking at all these dudes that this is happening in front of that are not. Exactly. You become complicit. You become complicit with what's going on. And that's the same thing here. When you got these people, oh, so-and-so's innocent. Be careful, man. I know that you think that's your friend. I know that you think you got an egg in that fight. Do not fuck around. Like Amir said, don't fuck around and be on the wrong end of this. You know, all we're doing is going off a man's track record and calling a spade a spade. Now, we also admitting to the point that we're alluding to the facts of we all been duped. He's been considered a friend of mine for a long time. He's been considered a friend of Sean Harvey's for a long time. He's been considered a friend of Smokey's and many of us comedians. The list is endless, because when you talk about New York, who got the most comedians? Fucking New York. New York and LA got the most. Then you got Atlanta, Chicago, and all these places, and Philly. But the reality is, in this pool, in the state of New York, the list is very long of us folks that do comedy that looked at him as like a friend or a buddy, and that we would help out, self-included. None of us are exempt of that, and we're admitting to those facts. So we're going off of what we know, and the track record buildup is not one thing. This is George Floyd is not the first guy, and not going to be the last guy, killed by a cop, but he is the straw. Yeah. He is the straw. And this is what's happening. This is the straw for Barry. The straw for Barry Ribs right now, and this energy going against the grain of him, this is the straw, because it's so up there. It's like all these things were chipping up. But when we see you do what you do to the guy who's actually feeding you, bro, I'm a dog dude. You know, I got 5 dogs at the house. Can't wait to see my dogs. But guess what? If I feel like my dog, I've been bit by my own dogs by accident. But if I feel a dog bites me on purpose, he gotta go. You just sat there, looked at me. I feed you every day, and you bit me or attacked me. You gotta go.
As we do with friends, as we do with family, as we do with every other aspect of our lives. And that's what I mean about this. Like, as us feeling bad about, how this thing is transpiring. But in the grand scheme of things, we cannot allow these things to continue, because if you allow them to continue, then more people will feel empowered by it, and more people will do the same thing. I look at our, comedy family, and especially the urban, comedy circuit, and, you can go up and down the list of all of the great comedians who've come through it. And, you talk about Def Jam and, all the various things. But the reality of it all is this. And I said this to somebody today. Again, this is to show y'all how different the world is. When y'all look at movies, my man that later became Magic Mike, I don't know the actor's name right now. It's, eluding me. Julian Stiles. Remember, they
Tatum dude.
Yeah, Channing Tatum. They started off in urban movies. How many of us get to start off in white movies and transfer back? I'll wait, because y'all want to talk and say fun stuff.
That's a great point.
I say that to people not because I'm trying to pick on them or trying to belittle, their journey. What I'm saying to y'all is they can always look to us to build, then move on. Us, We don't have that same luxury. All we got is all we got. Look, what you call it said it best in New Jack City. We all we got. That's the truth,
CMB,
yo.
brother. CMB.
We all we got. And I don't mean that as that means you let people disrespect you or you let people do stuff out of pocket. I mean, you got to check people when you see that they're doing stuff that you know is out of line, because in all fairness, you are going to bat and trying to help them. So they should be giving you that exact same support. Period. I don't care who it is.
Period. Well, perfectly put, my brother. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Amir Sealy. I'm your boy, Talon Harris. This has been an extremely positive Motivation Monday, where we put on display today, and not just on display, we mean this shit. We're protecting our Black queens, man. And
Yes.
if us standing up and putting the high beam on the wrong situation causes other males to come out and direct their energy, their hostile energy, divisive energy, but it's only directed towards the women, shame on you, cowards.
Yeah, come on.
Shame on you. I call a coward a coward.
Come on.
Everybody else, have a blessed week. We hope we started off with positive energy and some not only just energy, but some information that's duly needed. This is Motivation Monday. On the behalf of Amir, myself, Prophet Pete in the background, super producer. Thank you to our guest, Sean Harvey, Chanel Renee. Thank you to Stephanie McCrae for stepping out and saying how you feel on this matter as well. Like I say every week, we love y'all. Ain't nothing y'all can do about that. Salute,
Yes,
my
yes.
brother.
Salute.